What's up, everybody? It's Jared with Capture the Magic, and in today's video, we're going to talk about how Muppet Vision 3D, which recently just closed, could be coming back to Hollywood studios in a different location. So I think a lot of Muppet fans obviously very upset to see Muppet Vision 3D go away, but there could be a glimmer of hope that it could come back here. So we have an article here from that Park Place. It says, exclusive, Disney may bring Muppet Vision 3D back in new location. Now, this is just a rumor. Just want to put that out there right now. Nothing confirmed about this. I make that at least abundantly clear to start this out. So as an exclusive, that Park Place source close to the situation at Disney is sharing word of a potential resurrection of Muppet Vision 3D, but with a twist. According to our insider who spoke on the condition of anonymity, internal discussions are reportedly taking place within Disney about reviving the fan favorite attraction following its emotional final showing last week at Disney's Hollywood Studios and moving Muppet Vision to a new location. As his overwhelming fan response sparks internal conversations. Our source claims that the closure of Muppet Vision 3D sparked far more emotional guest response than Disney anticipated. Long lines for the final day crowd, overflow into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and packed theaters throughout the weekend reportedly caused some within the company to reevaluate the decision to permanently shutter Jim Henson's final Muppet project. I mean, I would say there was plenty of people online that were talking about how they were upset it was going away. I mean, I think if Disney was really wanting to look, I mean, they could see a lot of this, whether it's Muppet Vision 3D, whether that's the Rivers of America. I think there's pretty good evidence of it. But I suppose what you could also say is a lot of this is on social media. And I've also always said social media, Twitter, X, whatever, is not real life. And the amount of people that are on social media are a small contingent compared to the major, fan base out there. And so Disney many times, I do know, have talked about how they view, a lot of people that speak up about these things as a vocal minority. So some of that stuff, I'm aware that they also know about some of these things that go on. Like, they're not blind to things that are said on Twitter X, on YouTube. Like, they're aware of these things. But I think you could be looking at a situation where they assume it's just a small minority. But then when you see something in person, like all these fans coming for the tribute of this and being emotional about it, that I suppose could give them pause and be like, oh, this is real. People are really upset by this. So I suppose, to be fair to them, that could have been the situation that happened there. But I do think there was pretty ample evidence that people were pretty upset that Muppet Vision was going away. It says, but rather than opening the original theater, which is now expected to house an as of yet unnamed Monsters, Inc. theatrical production, the alleged plan would see Muppet Vision 3D return in a new location within the park. It says, according to our source, one option being floated internally is repurposing the theater that currently houses Disney's Villains Unfairly Ever After, a production recently introduced to the park. That show, which debuted with high hopes, is reportedly receiving lackluster guest feedback, and there's growing concern within Disney that its presence could undermine future enthusiasm for the upcoming Magic Kingdom Villains Land expansion. That will come in 2035. I actually think Villains Land is going to be well into 2030 before that even comes close to opening. It says, notably, the Unfairly Ever After show theater is said to have the same seating capacity as Muppet Vision 3D's original venue, making a relocation technically viable. And the theater is also located adjacent to Rock and Roller Coaster, which Disney has confirmed that will be rethemed to the Muppets in 2026. Now, I've talked about before how I think that is the most logical place that this show could end up just because of that theater. It was Lightning McQueen Racing Academy. Now it's the Villain show. But if you're going to have the Muppets in that area anyways, and that whole area back there is just a dead end. I mean, you're not going back there unless you are specifically going to ride Rock and Roller Coaster. But you could easily put Muppet Vision 3D into that theater and make that a new Muppets courtyard, or at least some sort of version of it. And I think that would be a great place to put it, because I don't think there's any plans to put anything else back there in terms of rides or attractions. And given that there's no walkthrough area there, it would make sense, especially, and I have heard the same thing, that theater in there, when Lightning McQueen Racing Academy was there, it was just like bleacher seating, wasn't comfortable being there. But now they actually have, like theater seating in there, having the same amount of seats in there as Muppet Vision 3D. I mean, it would make sense. You can put it in there. And it would be an easy thing. I mean, easy and cheap, which Disney does love, and trying to appease the fan base could be an option they do there. Bringing Muppet Vision 3D into that space, as our source describes, would help solidify the area as a new Muppets courtyard, potentially giving Kermit and the gang new lease on life within the park. Fueling speculation, our source also noted that key elements from the Muppet Vision 3D experience are being carefully preserved, including pre-show sets pieces, in-theater props, posters, and themed decor. While it's not clear whether these are being archived for a future revival, relocated to a museum setting, or possibly returned to the Henson family, the level of care described here doesn't feel like these precious elements are being thrown into a vault, never to be seen again. Yeah, it's hard to know on that. I mean, I'm glad to hear they're not being destroyed, but it's hard to know if they're going to keep them around because they might reuse them, or are they going to the Henson family? Like, I don't, given that this was Jim Henson's final thing he ever worked on, I think you would have a really, really bad look on your hands if it was found out that they had just destroyed the set pieces of this show. So at the very least, it doesn't seem like they're being destroyed. Now, like they said, whether or not that means it's going to be reused later, it's unknown. But I suppose on that front, at least, it doesn't seem like they're destroying the major elements of the show. As I said, no walk-around Muppets return planned. On a more disappointing note, the same source told us that the original Muppet walk-around character costumes last seen decades ago in Disney's MGM Studios have all been destroyed, dashing any realistic hopes of returning meet-and-greet Muppet characters to the parks. Many behind-the-scenes reported inquired about bringing out Muppet characters for special meet-and-greets around the attraction's closure and were informed that the costumes no longer existed. While new costumes could theoretically be created, there's reportedly no current plan to do so. I mean, they could if they wanted to. It wouldn't cost you that much money to have like a Kermit or a Miss Piggy or Gonzo or whatever. I don't know why they would have destroyed them in the first place, but even if they wanted to make new ones, you're not the level of money that Disney has. They could easily get character costumes if they wanted to. It says, if true, this rumor of a new location for Muppet Vision 3D represents a rare case of Disney course correcting based on fan love and legacy value rather than IP freshness. With the Muppets set to take over Rock and Roller Coaster in the near future, a unified Muppet-themed land could go a long way in preserving the legacy of Jim Henson's characters for future generations. When you're talking about internal discussions with Disney, and I know this for certain, as there have been numerous instances of 1 week they're leaning toward one way, then the next week it's another way, and like this back and forth thing. So just because right now, even let's say this rumor is true and they are surprised by the fan, reaction to this closing and how many people showed up and were really caught off guard and being like, oh, people really do love this. It doesn't mean just because this week they're looking at it one way doesn't mean next week or next month they're looking at it a different way. I mean, they seem to be very fickle in terms of internal discussion. I mean, there have been numerous reports about internal discussion about Frontierland, and 1 week it would be they want to get rid of Frontierland and the next week they want to save it. And so I wouldn't put too much one way or the other in terms of internal Disney discussions, just because I think they can go either way pretty quickly. But I will say, Disney listening to the fan feedback is something I think they're much more likely to do now than they were perhaps a decade ago, just due to competition, which is one reason why I love competition, because by Universal being more competitive, eating into more market share, being very aggressive, it does force or will force Disney, if they're not doing it now, into the future, to be more responsive to what the fans want. And if they're seeing the fans really want this and really worried about if they're really upset by this, like, are they going to not come? Like, what are they going to do? It makes sense that they might listen to that now and look to bring this back to appease the fan base. And I think you talk about a decade ago, 15 years ago, Disney, for the most part, could do what they wanted to do because they had all the market share. They still have the majority of the market share, although it's a shrinking market share as Universal has eaten about 10% into market share the past decade. But I think with more competition, it does naturally force even the biggest players in the market to react more to what the fan base wants, just because of the fear that they might go to the competitors. And so this is why, again, I think competition is a good thing. And if they genuinely are seeing firsthand of like, oh, wow, man, these people really love this, we did not realize this, maybe this would be a wake-up call to Disney to like start figuring this stuff out maybe before you make these announcements and talk about the Rivers of America and these other things. Like, fans have reasons why they have emotional and sentimental value to aspects of their parks. And like I've talked about before, and I think Braden from Mickey View said, is like Disney is in the business of selling memories. And whenever people make memories in their theme parks and then they pull away and they get rid of areas of the parks that people have become attached to, it's very natural for people to have, a reaction to that, not like it. And I understand Muppets is not a massive franchise anymore. And again, I'm not a massive Muppets fan. I wasn't necessarily really upset to see it go. I do understand the historical relevance with Jim Henson being his final project. And I have enjoyed the Muppet Show. I mean, it's a nice place to go for air conditioning, and our kids always enjoyed it. So I would like to see it come back. But just speaking of me personally, I don't have an emotional tie to it, but I completely understand how people do. It being Jim Henson's final project, I think it deserves to have a place in the park, especially back there where Rock and Roller Coaster currently is. I mean, it's not a highly trafficked area of that park, like I was saying. So, like, you could put it back there, because what else are you going to put back there after that villain show runs its course? At this point, it's too early to make any determinations about that villain show. My wife has seen it, and she said it's a good show. She said it's not the most amazing thing she's ever seen. But one thing she didn't notice about it was there's lots of screens, which a lot of people have had criticisms about, but that you could easily see in that show how you could swap out different characters, different villains. You could do different things in that show pretty easily with those screens. So they could be making tweaks to that show to try and fine tune it. So I don't know if I would say they're going to get rid of that show. I think it's, again, not enough time has gone on to make any determination of that. But I guess potentially they could let that show run for a year or two and then get rid of it before they go into Villain's Land. Who knows if it's going to run the entire time between now and Villain's Land is being constructed? Because again, I don't think Villain's Land is coming online till well into 2030. And are we going to look at 10 years of this show? I highly doubt you're going to look at, 5, 7, 8, 10 years of the Villain show being there before Villain's Land is done. So you could see this show be there for a bit, and then they bring back Muppet Vision 3D. If they are bringing, Rock and Roller Coaster getting moved over to the Muppets, and that's sometime in 2026. I suppose if that show isn't going well, they could make a swap of it then, or sometime shortly after that. So I think for those that want Muppet Vision to come back, I think there is a glimmer of hope. I wouldn't say give up, put all your hopes on this and assume it's going to happen. I think the best way, if you want Disney to know that you would love to see this happen, is to very politely and respectfully email them. Say, hey, we love Muppets, want to see this come back. I think letting your voice be heard, positive or negatively, is always a great thing, and fans should always do that. So I'm a big advocate of people really voicing their opinions on matter. And I think that's the best way to let Disney know, is to just let them know directly that this is something you would like to see. And like I said, it's good that if this is happening internally, that hopefully this continues to go that way and Disney becomes much more responsive to what the fans want. And I think this is why continued competition by Universal is a great thing. Even if you don't care about Universal, having more competition from them is going to positively, at least potentially, theoretically, impact how Disney would operate and be much more, I guess you could just say, sensitive to what the fans want, and not just basically just do whatever they want all the time and just assume what else are they going to do, go somewhere else, because now they can. And I think Disney may understand that with more competition, as they obviously on some level have some concern about Epic Universe, what Universal is doing. So I think that's a good thing in that terms, but at least potentially for Muppet Vision 3D, it could come back. We will see. Like I said, I wouldn't bet on it. I'm not going to hold my breath, and I wouldn't give up all my hopes that it is. But I suppose as of right now from this report here, it potentially is being discussed internally, so it could make a comeback. It also could be one of those things, a lot of people theorize it could come back on Disney+. They could sell it as a Blu-ray. I think there will be a future for the movie itself. It's just whether or not it's going to be in a theme park at Hollywood Studios, I think, is the big question people have. And I've been told by some listeners and subscribers that I don't plug our apparel company enough. So here I am. I'm going to plug our company, CTM Apparel Co., where we make theme park apparel, pop culture apparel shirts. And in fact, I'm wearing probably our most popular shirt, which is Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure shirt. So if you want to get one of those or others, we have Epic Universe shirts that we just released as well, The Manor and some other ones. You can go to ctmapparelco.com, see the whole collection there. We print everything in-house. We don't use third-party printers, so they're very high-quality prints. Will last you for years, and you can even get 20% off of your order by using the promo code YouTube. And if you order $49 or more, you also get free shipping. So again, go to ctmapparelco.com and use the promo code YouTube, and you'll get 20% off of your order over there. But as of right now, that's all we know about this. If any more developments happen on this, I'll be sure to let you know right here on this channel. But for now, that's going to be it for this video. So if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do its coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, do you think that Muppet Vision 3D will come back to Hollywood Studios, or do you think that it is gone for good? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.